Okay, so all right, so finally we here. What's up, guys? These are your boys from GNG, and this is our impression of The Last of Us Part Two. The Last of Us Two is a very, very pretty game. You gotta agree with that.
Definitely, definitely. I think I was playing it. I had a couple of friends with me in the house, and they were really looking at like those moments where those close-up shots of Ellie, when she's
Yeah,
playing the
yeah.
guitar. And I just think that even on a standard PS4, because I wasn't playing on a PS4 Pro, I was
Mhm.
just standard HD TV and my regular PS4. The graphics are insane. I just think that Naughty Dog has already established itself as just they always bring those graphics to the table. I think the way they just, in Seattle, they brought different environments. They brought that mountainous region right in the beginning of it, and then they go into the Seattle again, which we saw what they did in the Last of Us One. It's very lush, green. You have a lot of, rain. You have the wind. So they really animate all that like perfectly. I don't think I've ever played a Naughty Dog
Your map
game that I
showed the
was
aquarium
not
along the
impressed
shore.
with when it came to just
Should be down there
them
somewhere.
just
It's
bringing to
Yeah,
visuals.
life. Right, the visuals are just because there's even moments where, like,
as I need to stay dry in
especially
this city.
The Last of Us 2 will have you picking up a lot of shit. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how many notes I've picked up in that game, but it's a lot of fucking notes. It's newspaper articles, notes, cans,
All the details on
trading
the
cards, everything,
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And you can rotate it, but what was impressive is just the texture on the hands. Like, you can see the
Mm,
abrasions on her hands from fighting. You can see like the dirt under her fingernails. And I just think that when you get to that level of detail, which I feel Naughty Dog has always done it, I'm
yeah.
just like, damn, they're Naughty Dog has just always been like the master when it came to that.
I think there's one part that I was playing. It's around where you first think you're meeting the scars. You're in like this park and the bushes are really high and they're whistling at you and they all got bows and arrows. That part right there to me was visually amazing because of the way the bushes, like, it's just everything there, the fire in the background, and you can see like the way it's lighting up from the cars. You can see the shadows from the enemies that's kind of like um shredding through the high leaves and the high bushes and all of that stuff. And then as you as Ellie, since you're kind of doing the stealth mode thing in that, and in that setting, you can see like her backpack a little bit popping up from the tall grass. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And like you can see it moving out your way as you're going. And then sometimes, if you hide properly, you don't even see Ellie. But these guys are walking past, and it's just all of that visually is just it's just insane. I was like, wow, yo, this game looks good. I have a computer that's beefy, and I be playing games on ultra settings, and I don't see detail like that. You know what I mean? Like the detail there is just so well designed, and I have to give my props to Naughty Dog because, um, yeah, just simple things. The aquarium actually, when you're getting to the aquarium, you start noticing the waves are getting bigger, the water is getting higher. The
Right,
boat
right.
the boat is kind of like shifting back and forth, and like Ellie, you see. Yeah, even that when Ellie comes out the water, I don't know if you tried it before. If you take a note outside her bag while in the water, the note gets wet, and it's crazy stuff, bro.
Well,
It's
I didn't notice
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I did not notice that.
When I use the boat, when you're in the arcade, and when you go over to get inside of the where they kept the vault, not the vault, the safe, where they kept the safe there in the arcade building,
Yeah.
I took a note out, to see if I can remember what the password was, and I noticed that the paper was wet too, and the ink was dripping. Yo, the detail in that game is so crazy. Thankfully, I think I actually have that recorded, so you will see it here. If not, I'll just put it in anyways. I'll just do it real quick. I'm still in that little area, just running around. But yeah, no, the graphics is one thing that that I really really like. But there's also one fallback to it, and I noticed that if you do too much with Ellie, her animation would freak out a little bit.
Okay.
Like I got crazy legs once, like legs, like it was weird. It was fine, and also there's a lot of, I feel like, reused stuff from part one.
Okay.
Like reused assets in terms of like the empty building,
It was
and
just more.
like, and even at that, even with the reused assets, you can tell that the textures were still, like, touched up. Like it still looked really good. Like if you played The Last of Us on the PlayStation, well, The Last of Us remastered on the PlayStation 4, and then The Last of Us Part 2, you can tell that even if there's some reused assets, what they did in Part 2 was really touch it up, made it look really good, gringy, and all cracked up and stuff like that. So, even if it had reused stuff, it still looked amazing. So the
Right.
graphics, to me, the graphics is just on point. Like we can't, visually, it's just probably one of the most amazing games I've seen visually.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you. Like, there's just the character models. Is just like I said, Naughty Dog has not disappointed me yet. I can't say, oh, this is a bad looking Naughty Dog game. I don't
Nah,
think they have one.
I've never said that in my life.
Yeah, I've never said that, and I don't think when it comes to the graphics department and when it comes to them rendering these environments, I think they got that shit down packed. They don't. They
Absolutely.
could do that shit with their eyes closed. Like at this
Absolutely.
point, they're masters at it, and I like I said, just and if you really take the time, which is I had to cram 25 hours in 3 days, but if you really take the time to pan your camera around and really look at Ellie's expressions. When
That's
Dina's
that piece.
talking, she's very expressive. Like those are
Yeah.
just things that they thought about that. Like what if the player just pans around and then they see Ellie and she's just making this weird like face, like it's like, oh shit, she's reacting to what Dina's
Yeah.
saying. And it's just like, you see, they just think about everything. So I just think, to their credit, Naughty Dog, always the masters of just bringing beautiful environments, bringing realistic character models. And I don't think, and they
And
only get better from here.
yep. And if there's one thing, you can have the best graphical game you want, you can have the best visuals, but there is one thing that really puts it together, and that is audio. So audio. Another thing about that game is that the audio is fantastic, bro. From the minute you walk into the snow, like you hear that, I can't even make that sound, that crunch of the boot, yeah,
Yeah,
hitting the
yeah,
snow,
right, right.
to like when there's more people around, or when the horses is hitting the snow, or like the little stupid ass flies that bother you in the woods and shit. Like
Right, right.
like you can hear all of that. You know what I mean? I was playing with the PlayStation Platinum 7.1 surround sound joints. So when I heard something, I heard it.
Fancy.
You know what I'm
Right, right.
saying? Yeah, fancy. I spent the money to play these games. I spent the money to play these games. Too bad I don't got one for my PC. But but yeah, man, like it was so immersive. Like you hear things before you know that it's in the vicinity. You know what I mean? Like I heard the I heard enemies. I heard the clickers before I even got to where the game tells you they're there. You know what I mean? Like you kind of just I don't know. It's really good. If you had any experiences with that audio stuff, man, it's crazy.
I was impressed that they were able to put a like live guitar that you're able to play and strum, like, and
Mhm.
just and the way it sounds, because I literally spent like 5 minutes, 5 unnecessary minutes strumming that guitar. So
Mhm.
it's just like, I've always felt like, it sounds very realistic when you're just strumming it and you just hear like those chords, and I'm just like, wow, like even those minute, like those small details, and just like, no way, you could play this
Yeah,
guitar, when the rain is hitting Ellie's jacket, as opposed to if it's hitting her when she's not wearing a jacket, as
yeah.
opposed to the water, the waves crashing onto the
Hmm.
shore and crashing into her boat, and just her to making those little sighs
Yeah,
and those
yeah, yeah.
those real minute just details. And I'm just like, if I'm making a game, I'm not thinking about all that. I'm just thinking about, and they take it like who, like, I know you have a sound production team where you're taking all these little moments and you're just like with the sound and even the whistling. I thought the whistling
That was so dope.
that's such a fucking cool moment. Just they're communicating whistling, and
Yeah.
it's dark, and it's just like you just hear the crunching of the leaves, and they're walking, and you're going through these bushes, and you just hear the rustling, and I'm like, oh shit, are they gonna hear the rustling too? And how how responsive are
Mhm.
they to that? And I'm just
To
like,
that, yeah.
yeah. So it's just like, it's just even dogs barking. It sounds very like, I'm like, oh shit, it's just like it's just when it comes to the sound, like I said, Naughty Dog, one of the best ones. And I don't mean to, I don't work for Naughty Dog. I'm not trying to get a check for them, but when it comes
Not
to
the
that,
detail.
the detail level of detail, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, nah, that's I give it to them too. The detail on the audio and the visuals are amazing. But passing by audio, passing by visuals, let's get a little bit into the enemies.
I can't be your friend all the time, Naughty Dog. I'm sorry.
All right. So here we are. We have your you got your regular enemies, your scars, and you have your wolves, right? Then you have your clickers, your runners, your stalkers, your the stragglers. I mean, not the stragglers. The what's that? The big guy again?
Oh, the bloaters.
The bloaters,
The
not the new one that they introduced.
the Rat King.
Yeah, that.
Right,
So
right.
with all these enemies that they have, and then the dogs, of course, is pretty much an enemy. Even though you don't need to kill them. Of course, you don't need to kill anybody in this game, actually. But like, what is your take on these enemies?
Okay, so this is where, Naughty Dog, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to take the L on this one. And I just felt there was not enough variety for me in terms of just, and I play my zombie games, I play my Resident Evils, and I definitely see those character designs and how they can make these really gruesome, kind of mutacious,
Yeah,
kind of looking
yeah,
characters. I just felt, because we saw the runners, we saw clickers, and we saw bloaters. That's already
yeah.
three enemies that we already were
No, we already know.
encountering. We
Yeah.
already know. So you have the stalkers, you
Hmm.
have the shamblers,
Yeah.
and then you
The
have that
shambles.
rat,
Yes.
yeah, and then you have the rat king, which are the three new enemies there. And I just didn't like in the design. We've seen that kind of archetype of zombie. We've
Yeah.
seen bloaters. We've seen, Left 4 Dead gave us
Very
bloaters
Left 4
and
Dead. Yeah.
these tanky kind of overly mutated zombies, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
And I just feel that I didn't ever feel at one point in this game the sense of urgency. I never felt, I don't know what was your experience with them, but I never felt like, oh shit, they're coming,
Yeah.
and I gotta get into cover or I don't know. Please shed some light on this.
Yeah. So yeah, what you just said right there, the sense of urgency. So with this game, they never put the enemy in where it's a surprise. You know what I mean? Like they never just pop up at you. And when they do, it's usually just a cutscene that you got to mash box and then you get out of it. In this game, every time you bump into an enemy, you're already aware and you're already ready for it. Your character's just hiding behind something, and then she'll say, "Oh shit, clickers," or "Oh my god, wolves," or "Oh my god, this," or "Oh my god, that." So you're always prepared for it. So you're not. There's nothing there that's making you like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, for example, something like Resident Evil 3, and I'm not trying to compare games, I'm just trying to compare urgency. When Nemesis came out, you were scared. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't know what to do at that moment. You just you're just trying to
Right,
you're just trying to run away.
right,
you know,
right,
you
right.
didn't you didn't know what to do, and that was the urgency that I kind of missed from this game because even in in the Last of Us Part One, I felt worried when the clickers were around. I was scared. I was trying to stealth my way around. In this game, I honestly I just went guns blazing. You know,
Right.
I was just like, listen, I got a brick and I got a machete, and apparently those are like one of the most OP weapons. You know what I mean? Like the machete, and of course if you have a bottle of brick, because they get stunned for God knows how long.
Right. It's pretty long. It's pretty long. Like you can literally sprint across like an open field
Yeah,
after hitting somebody with a brick.
yeah,
And
and the only enemy that it didn't worry me. It was just obnoxiously annoying was the dogs, and that was because they they have a scent. So I mean you have a scent, so they go through the trail and they can find you. And again, it wasn't something that I felt like it was a sense of urgency at that point. I was just like, let me just get rid of these guys because I'm not gonna keep walking in circles or throw a bottle or something just so the dog can kind of like go somewhere else.
right,
Let me just get rid of everybody. When I first bumped into the Shambler, yeah, it was cool. Like the scene was cool and everything. But again, you know, um, and this is talking on playing, on your regular levels. I didn't play on very hard yet, so I don't know how the resources are. But if you're playing on your standard, as a standard player, you have enough resources to just throw trip mines, and he can't do anything.
right.
He's stunned. You get stun locked. Throw a trip mine, throw a Molotov, call it a day. So there was nothing that really made me say, oh my god, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do," because you was always prepared. It's like you see something and then you're like, oh, okay. And if he wasn't prepared, then, well, I mean, I don't know how you're not prepared at that point. Like,
right.
I've never like I haven't bumped into a part where I was just like, oh, I don't have what I need. And if you're doing that, it's probably because you're playing on the very hardest setting. If you don't have what you need, it's because you're looking for that challenge. But as a person just jumping into this game, there was no threat. Like, I didn't feel like there was no threat. It was very easy. And I have a few players that's playing on hard mode right now, and they're saying, "Bro, this game is like really easy." Our boy Jose, he's fully stocked and he's playing hard mode. He's like, "Yo, I can't even
Right.
pick up anything," and he's pretty much almost done. He's further than what I was. You know.
Wow. Right. Right. Right.
So I don't know. How did you feel like when you fought the last? I guess I'll call it the last monster boss.
Yeah. So yeah, the Rat King. So if you played it, it's basically this overgrown like sludge tumor that's like it's like if the stalker and the runner and a bloater all like
Meshed in one.
meshed into one like I don't know this grotesque like like I don't know cyst like I don't
Yeah.
know like think of it like that with arms and shit. Um, that boss fight was a little bit of annoying because I wasn't first of all I was not ready for it because I was just kind of like I'm just gonna expend all my bullets and I didn't know that was coming. You kind of know like they kind of telegraph it very okay, there's something that just popped out of this wall and it
Yeah.
literally destroyed this doorway and this blood and the
So
trail and
something.
something's gonna right. So it's just this. It's a bloater basically, but just 20 times bigger, and it's just like it's chasing you. Its attacks aren't really. It throws gas, or if it grabs you, it just like animation snaps your neck, and then the
Yeah.
blood gushes out. There's nothing really like I never felt like okay, he's a bullet sponge. You just basically have to make sure you're stocked up. You have enough bullets. You can definitely get through that fight. You can even like sit down and apply a med kit and he's still like and then he charges at you.
Yeah.
It's not an overly hard fight. It can be a little annoying because it's kind of in the dark. You're in the basement of the
Yeah.
hospital, so it's just kind of like you once you get the layout you can outrun him and your stamina apparently
Yeah. Infinite
abby's
stamina.
abby's stamina is
Ronda
it's
Rousey.
Ronda Rousey, her stamina is just unlimited, and she definitely you run circles around it. And I
Hmm.
just think that again, Urgency. I think that word is gonna be what summarizes this. There's no urgency. Like I get it. It's a big monster. I'm like, but am I afraid I'm gonna lose? Like my shit. Uh, I've died once, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't like because I just went in there guns blazing and I'm like, yo, fuck it. I'm just gonna try to get on my first round
yeah.
and the checkpoints are kind of generous in this game too.
They are. Yes, they are. Oh my goodness, they are. And I think that's something again, like when you're playing on the hardest difficulty, of course they would change that. You know, because it's the hardest difficulty. They you got to make it harder in all types of ways. But again, talking for casual gamers, you can actually go into this game, have fun. It's visually amazing, and you don't have to be too stressed out. You
Right.
don't have to be too stressed out to enjoy the game. Um, but there is one more thing that well, there's a few more things, but this is another thing that we might have to take an L on. Let's go for the story.
Sweet Jesus.
Doctor?
What are you doing? I won't let you take her. This is our future.
Oh
Think of all
no,
the lives we'll
dude.
save.
Dude, I don't have an outlet today.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to start this off. All right, so I'm gonna rub my eyes.
You
The
okay, bro?
story, yeah, man. This shit is okay. The story. Oh, this is where there will be spoilers. So if you don't want, just click on the other little blue timestamp so you can see whichever one you want to talk about. But this is where the bulk of the spoilers on this game is going to be. So you have 5 seconds to click away before we start. And
Start ruining your life.
yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we warned you. Let's get into the story. Let's get into this shit. This fucking shit fest. All right. So I'm gonna start. It starts off really good. First off, the opening is amazing with Joel and Tommy. When they're in the cabin talking about what happened in part one. The ending of part one, and how he's cleaning the guitar and stuff, and you're riding down that creek, and the credits are coming up. Amazing, 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 amazing. However,
A big however.
however, when you get back to Jackson, that's where they were heading. When they get back to Jackson, you meet Ellie. You see this I want to say like this what's the word? Like the relationship between those two.
It's definitely strained.
Yeah,
Something has happened. Something
yeah,
has strained their
What's up,
relationship.
exactly. Something has happened, and they're not talking very well. You can kind of see Joel trying his best, but you see Ellie pushing him back, like whatever. Of course they always have cute banters, no matter how you look at it. You find Joel plays the guitar for her, and then she asks for the dad joke, basically, and something cute happens there, right? And that's where shit starts getting a little weird now. So stuff starts happening. Ellie's on a mission. Yeah, it starts with Ellie first, and then all of a sudden we switch up to Ronda Rousey. Right? That's pretty much how it went.
Right.
This is how the pacing starts.
This is where the shit starts. This is exactly. I'm gonna look for the minute where it starts with this shit. But
Go for it.
okay, so it's
So
just
we're Ronda Rousey now.
we're Ronda Rousey. Okay, so you have this. She's buff. She trains in the gym. Definitely, she's a badass. She has that one braid, so she's there for some fucking kick somebody's fucking ass, and you could just definitely tell. And they give you kind of this. It's this weird kind of secretive. You have a group of people. You don't know what they're there for. You don't know why. What are they looking for? And then there's this really good interaction between Abby, which we don't know until later in that walk, and this guy named Owen, and they start walking on this trail. They start talking, and and the banter is very like so maybe you think that they're just They're just looking for a settlement, or maybe they're looking for a place to hide, or maybe they're looking to find survivors or survivor camp or whatever. But then things start,
Yeah.
she starts kind of giving you these little hints that they're looking for something, they're looking for someone, and then they have this really playful, some of the conversation is playful, but then towards the end of that little trail, it turns out that she's looking for somebody, but we don't know who she's looking for, which I thought was pretty good. It was a pretty good little interaction there, that little small scene right there, and then she has a little fight with Owen. Owen's like, they're heavily guarded and they have resources and we're outmanned and outgunned. So now oh shit, okay. So now this is some Walking Dead type shit. They're gonna try to take something, resources, or I don't know what the fuck they're doing. And then Abby goes fucking full on commando, and she just fucking starts trailing that mountain.
All right, so hold up. So she before she tried to convince Owen at the top of the mountain when they saw Jackson. She tried to convince Owen, come with me. He said, yo, you bugging. Like you said, there's too many resources. I'm not doing it. So she said, fuck yeah, then. I'm going myself. That's what he means that she goes commando. Go ahead.
Yeah, so she goes full on commando, and she's like, she's just gonna trek it by herself. And there's like a blizzard going on. So she's going and she's seeing these dead corpses like just littered throughout the mountain. And she's like, yo, fuck it, I don't care. And she's still pushing on, still pushing forward. And then fucking a horde of fucking zombies just come out of nowhere. And then she's just running for her life. She's booking it with her infinite stamina.
And mind you, this is one of the best parts. I think this is the first tense parts of the game. 1 out of 2 of the most tensest parts of the game. So go ahead.
Right. And then by some miracle, she ends up meeting with Tommy and Joel. So they end up crossing paths. So, a little banter, a little conversation here. Hey, what's your name? And my name is Abby. What's your name? My name is Joel. And then her fucking face kind of changes and you're just like, oh, shit. Oh, okay. Now you look uncomfortable. Now I'm like, oh, okay. This is not going to be good. And let's just see where it goes from here. And I think this is where, just shit starts going south. Just for the story.
So basically, right after that, they're in this first house, hiding from the horde. Obviously, the horde is banging the doors. They're about to break in. So even though you see that she has this very, oh man, what's the look? It's a very crude look towards Joel. It was very one of those ugly faces. Like, nah, I don't want to. So, anyways, because the horde is there, she decides to run with them anyways, and she says, I have a group that we can go, take refuge real quick, and then they decide to follow her. We already counted down to 5 for you guys. So,
right. If you're here, stay for the ride.
If you're here, that's it. So, Joel and Tommy, they finally go inside. They see her crew, and nobody knows who he is yet besides Abby, Ronda Rousey.
Nothing.
So
You have no idea.
once Joel says his name,
Joe.
the crew pretty much looks, and he's like,
Y'all act like you heard of us or something.
and then she says,
Because they have.
blew his knee off,
Completely the fuck out.
blew his shit off. His shit was gone. His shit was done. Right then and there, you knew it's over. You know what I mean? You knew it was over. There's no saving this guy, right? Tommy got knocked out with the handgun, and there was nothing to do. So Ronda Rousey takes the team, puts them up against a glass, and then you don't know why this is happening though. Like you kind of get a glimpse at the very, 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 very first scene of the game, but you don't really know what's going on. It was kind of like a placement telling you this story continues right after part 1, pretty much, in a way. So right after the main event of part 1. So now, Joel knows. You know what I mean? He knows it's over. It's a wrap. Tommy's unconscious. There's no help. There's a blizzard happening. So Ronda Rousey decides to tourniquet his knee so he doesn't bleed out and become unconscious. And she decides to take a golf club, you know, and
And
then he
Tiger Wood his
slaps.
shit,
Yep,
right?
and then he slaps your man's. It's very Walking Dead. Like there's a lot of Walking Dead references in this game. Like
Right.
so so she hits him, black screen, and now we're back to Ellie. And this is what I mean by the pacing just starts going fucking. It starts getting wild. So Ellie, Ellie. To fast forward real fast, basically all you're doing with Ellie is getting to the spot that you was already in. So
Right, right, right.
but it's like a 2-hour adventure alone, just getting to where everything is deep in this game. Every place that she has to go is deep. There's nothing across the street. There's nothing around the corner. Everything is deep in this game, right? So like, so now Ellie, she gets to where they were. She finds it, and then she pretty much sees Joel. What, like just bod like he's just bodied. He's done. Like he can't see. His face is pretty much deformed almost. Um, and then Ellie sees the last strike that Abby gives, to Joel. Now, mind you, this crew didn't kill uh, Ellie or Tommy. He let them go. So obviously, this is a thing about revenge. This is not just trying to be an asshole and trying to kill people for their resources. No, this is just straight revenge. We killed the person we wanted. Let them go. Right. And then what happens? What was the pacing there? You go back to Ellie's story, right?
Then you go back. You go back. So then you go back to Ellie, and now Ellie is just riling the troops, and Ellie is
Yeah,
just like, you know what?
the
Fuck
truth.
that. Fuck her. And right, because it's literally like Maria tells like, yo, fuck that. I can't help you. Like,
Nah, we ain't sending nobody.
yeah, like Tommy just left Ellie because he doesn't want her to go out there. And
Yeah.
now Ellie is just trying to gather resources. But I just think this is where The Last of Us, it just, the pacing is so. How do you go? Now listen to me just for 1 second. And I'm not trying to shit on this fucking game. How do you go? And you go from here,
Yeah.
literally, and you fucking drop me. It's like so. I'm like, okay, I get it. In terms of a story, you gotta kind of put them up here, and then you
Yeah.
drop them,
And then you got to drop them,
and
and
then
then
you
bring them back
gotta
up. Yeah.
go back up. But The Last of Us just drops you for the fuck of it. Like they don't care how like and there's a lot of drops. There's a lot of
Yeah.
up and down, and that's one of them where and then a lot of people weren't happy about Joel dying
Mhm.
already, and we're seeing that through everything, which we're gonna get with Metacritic and all that.
Yeah.
They didn't like that. That was just like, what the fuck are you doing? I bought Last of Us for Joel, not for Ellie and not for Ronda Rousey. I bought it for Joel.
Mhm.
And to their credit, that wasn't really a selling point for me. It was like, if I played with Joel, I played with him. If I didn't, I didn't. Like, I kind of knew they were going to lead with a kind of Ellie story after playing as
Mhm.
Joel. So I didn't, like, if you couldn't really see that coming, I don't know. Like, they
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, you had to see that coming. Like, and a lot of people need to also realize that Joel was never a main character. He was just a vessel to lead the main character in part one. He would, like, in the very beginning, he was just a guy that lost his daughter, and that was the vessel of why he carried Ellie all the way through part one. He was never the main character.
Right.
So that's why when that happened to him, I was like, yeah. I get it. Yeah,
Right.
I get it. But go ahead, continue.
So, yeah, so I like I said, either way, if really didn't bother me. The whole
Mhm.
it did because it was shocking. I
No,
didn't think they were
yeah,
gonna.
yeah.
It was shocking, but also to Naughty Dog's credit, that's the strongest revenge story you could possibly. Who could you have? Honestly, if you're looking at
Yeah.
it thematically, if you're looking at it through that perspective, who could you have killed to make Ellie or to
Go
motivate
like
her
that. Yeah.
more motivate her that strongly to go back to Seattle to, murder and ravage
Hmm.
like, a whole group of people. It
Yeah.
had to be impactful. And you
Yeah.
as a player, because they not only do you have to give Ellie motivation, now you give me motivation because I want to fucking kill everybody who just killed my boy Joe. You
Yep.
understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's a dual thing because I guess people forget like it's not just Ellie playing. It's Ellie. It's you. You're
It's
playing,
you. Yeah.
and I think that's the who you gonna kill. Like
Eh,
Dina, and I
Yeah.
don't
Exactly.
think that would
Nobody's.
have
Yeah.
been warranted.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
And it was genius again on Naughty Dog's part to make you play the person that kills Joel, because now you feel like as a player, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? I just controlled, I just made this happen, and now you have that, that like that sense of disgust, like I can't believe that I just controlled the character that killed my favorite character. And now that you get control back with Ellie, you're like, I'm gonna go kill this bitch.
Right,
I'm gonna go
right,
out there like
right.
nah, I'm gonna go out there and kill everybody that she knows. But again, now we fast forward. Now you're Ellie again, and you're just going through so much. Like, oh my god, like you have like just going through so much just to get to one part of the story, like of a progression of the story. I mean, because like this story constantly going, there's always banter happening, they're always talking, but the progression to the story, it's just so much. Like I said, everything is deep, everything is way out there. So like, you find yourself going through, all types of things. Eventually you find a theater. I think that's the next big progression of the story.
Oh,
The
is it the hotel? Is it the hotel or the theater? I always get.
not
I think is the hotel where they plan their attack, and then the theater. Yeah,
some shit
something
like
like
that.
that. Right,
I
right,
know that
right,
the theater, it was important because that's when you find out this chick got pregnant.
right,
Uh,
right, right, right.
and it kind of diverts the no, excuse me, backtrack. Yeah, I think you're right. It's when they went to the lookout, when Ellie and Dina had their first intimate part, their first
Right.
intimate thing going on, and that kind of established the relationship that they were having. And then it goes into the theater where even after all of this mumbo jumbo talk and they're calling each other babe and you're going through all of this nonsense,
Right,
that
right.
she finds out that she is pregnant with this dude Jesse's
Jesse's the
Jesse's
right.
kid, and that kind of put. Ellie goes through a lot of shit in this game. Like I'm gonna be straight up, Ellie goes through a lot of shit in the story. Everything was always negative. Every time she tried to find a lead on Ronda Rousey, never really happened. And every time she looked for some type of comfort, it wasn't really there. You know what I mean? Like her girlfriend is basically having a child with somebody else.
Right.
Um, so they get to the theater. They take this breather. Um, and then Ellie, I think she goes on by herself now, right? Like that's it. Dina's pretty much done.
Right.
And then I forgot where she goes now.
She's still following
That's right.
those
Trail.
leads.
Yeah, she's still
Yeah,
following.
she's
So pretty shit. Yeah. So pretty much from here, your main goal is just following leads.
right.
And you bump into, of course, different enemies, and you're bumping into um different story plots. So you're starting to figure out there's a different group out there called the Scars. Very religious group, I'm gonna say. Very
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a very religious group. Um and so you start realizing there's pretty much all types of wars happening between all types of different factions of this apocalyptic world. You finally, about 15 hours in, you
You okay?
right?
You okay?
Right?
The momentum is slowly. I can see it like on the camera. You're just losing like your energy.
Yo, because bro, like 15 hours in, right? And this is what blows my shit. So you just went, you did 3 days of Seattle, right? And I want to say you're 15 hours in, you finally make it to the aquarium. You're like, yes, I'm finally gonna see the fucking ending of this game. I deserve this. I killed fucking everybody. I am here, right? And
Yeah, give it to him. Give it to him. Give it to
and so you find Owen and the other chick, the pregnant chick. I forgot her name.
Mel.
Mel, right? You find Owen and Mel. Obviously, they're not gonna tell you where Ronda Rousey is.
Oh,
So a little argument happens. They didn't want to fight, but a little argument happens. You shoot Owen, and I believe you stab Mel. Right? You stab Mel,
Yeah, in the neck,
and in the neck, and
to be
then
specific.
yes, and then Ellie finds out that she was pregnant, and it kind of like shakes her up. Now I can't clearly remember how the fuck this goes, but I just remember Ronda Rousey appearing with a gun in her hand and telling Ellie like she couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
Right? Like
You go. Yeah, you go back to the fucking. You go back to the
to the
theater
theater. You
again.
go back to the theater. Yes.
Right. Right. Because then you got fucking. I don't know if you take another fucking 5-hour hike
That's what
to
I'm
the
saying.
theater.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And then, she is like, she comes back and she's like mentally fucked up. She's only mentally fucked up about killing Mel for literally about like 2 minutes, and then she's okay. Because I don't ever see a flashback of her looking at Mel, nothing.
Right.
So she's like, oh shit, okay, I fucking, and then she goes
Yeah.
back into, she goes to the fucking, she runs because nobody's answering her, and when she fucking barges through the door with Jesse gets shot in the face, and then Ronda Rousey is there holding Tommy hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what the fuck just happened? And then Ellie's like,
I know why you killed Joel. He did what he did to save me. There's no
I'm the
because of me.
cure,
I am
and
the one
whatever
that
the
you
fuck,
want.
and fade to black.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back at day one.
Get the fuck out of here.
Now let me tell you something about the story, all right? Because obviously this is the bulk of this video. This is where I think I'm not gonna talk for everybody, but even if the people who are finally saying, you know what, let me play this game, right here, back on day one, is the part where they will all stop. They will all just say, fuck this game. Because I didn't have anybody. Your boy Rick took it on himself to go through this whole game to tell you what it is. I stopped the minute I saw day one again. I stopped. I said, I am not doing this shit again. Because when it goes back to day one, now you're officially Abby. You're Ronda Rousey. And it's almost as if the game literally just starts all over again. But in a different perspective now. This is what you're doing. You go out, and it's cool. I get it. It was cool because now you're seeing her interactions and stuff like that. And you see like this stadium, they've made a home. They've made a whole actually a whole town inside, of a stadium. And it's
Right.
pretty cool to watch, but it's not necessary. That I have told Rick 8 times, and I'm going to tell you guys, this is the only time where I say this should have been DLC. This right here, we do not need this extra. I don't even got maybe 10 hours left or something like that.
Yeah, dude, you're not even. Listen, you're not even. Well, I remember I asked you a specific question today, and I asked you where are you at, Fred? And you said I'm in a greenhouse.
Yeah.
I knew exactly where you were at, and I said, have you met Yara and Lev? And you said no. I said, bruh, nah, bruh. Let go of that controller and let's get recording. I said, let's get recording because, listen, I just, and like I said, I was gonna play the entirety of this game, and I was gonna just, and at the very moment when we hit Seattle, Freddie, I'm not gonna lie to you, I felt the same fucking way. I said, can I just read the Wikipedia now? Because I'm just like, this is just, I know, I'm not playing it like an average human being. I'm playing it like a fucking crazy podcaster who needs to fucking do a recording on Monday, so I get it on Thursday, and then I have to cram some sessions in. But I think just at that moment where the game forces you to look at a different perspective, when I was comfortably fine looking at it through Ellie's eyes, and they just put me around the Rousey, and like I said, I like what did. Look, listen, I like like I told you, I like her move set.
Yeah.
I like the new weapons that are introduced in there. That's where you meet the Rat King. You meet that boss in that specific part of the game. But I just think, and I understand what Naughty Dog was trying to do. They were trying to show you a perspective, because at this moment where we get to Abby, we know why she killed Joel, which was
Yeah.
because Joel killed her father during The Last of Us 1.
Yeah.
So so you already know the motivation. Now
Mhm.
is just looking at life through Abby's eyes, and then really looking at the because the motif here is just revenge. It's just,
Yeah.
how much do you lose of yourself when you go on this quest of
Mhm.
vengeance, of retribution, and sacrificing those you love
Yeah.
just to you know gain some kind of closure.
Now,
And I'm
now,
just
now,
like,
remember these words he said: to gain closure. We haven't got to the ending yet, but
Jesus
go
Christ.
on. But go on.
So, so so nothing on the gameplay really changes except for like she can craft shivs and she is very adept, and she gets a couple of different weapons. She gets a hunting
She's a
pistol.
dope character. She's a
Yeah,
dope character.
she
I'm not
is.
knocking that.
And brolic as fuck.
Mhm.
And like she looks like she could do more pull-ups than me. Absolutely. And she's a badass character. I totally I like the way they went with her. But then you start going through flashback sequences within her
Her,
flashback. So
yep.
I'm like flashback within flash. I'm Inception right now. I'm going from flashback to flashback, and these flashbacks are drawn out and slow. They
Yeah.
are slow flashbacks. You're always one thing I didn't like about Red Dead Redemption, the second one, is that every time got to a fucking camp, they'd make me walk.
It
I
makes-
hated that with a passion. I think that was like one of the things we all hated.
Yep.
Don't make me fucking walk in the cat. I don't want to walk. I want to run.
Yeah.
And a lot of these flashbacks, you will be
You're
walking
walking. You're
and
walking.
looking
Yep.
at things and pressing triangle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I was just like,
You see,
at
and
this,
mhm.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, keep
All right.
going.
So basically, what happened, what Naughty Dog, I'm not Naughty Dog, but I believe what they're portraying is that both sides had good intentions. Neither one of them were assholes. They were just both fighting for survival. The guys in Jackson and the guys in I forgot what her sanction was called. But they were both fighting. They were both good people. They were both helping people out. They would bring people in, to help them out. And that's what both sides were doing. It just so happens that they had that Joel interaction. Basically, when Joel did that thing in the hospital, that's what made them cross paths. It was just a story of revenge. That's the whole reason why they even put in, that part, just to show you she was also she was an Ellie. She was just reviving. I mean, she was surviving off of things. You know, um, she had people that she loved pass away. And all that stuff. And they were just like, well, here's her perspective. And that's why I said this didn't need to be there. We already figured that out. You know what I mean? We
Right.
got it. We figured it out the minute she let Ellie and Tommy leave. They could have killed both of them right then and there. They weren't there for them. They weren't there for resources. They were there for revenge. That was it. Because they also were taking people in, and they also tried to make people live amongst each other. It was just a story of revenge. They did not need that piece. Like they did
No,
not
they
need that piece.
didn't.
Now, after you finish the 3 days with Abby, what happens, sir?
So, okay, so all right, so if I remember correctly, right at that end part, so you finally trek again Seattle through a different perspective, and you meet these two Seraphites, or Scars, which is like the derogatory name for a Seraphite. You go through all this shit. She gains some kind of like redemption in terms of saving people, and her relationship with Owen is just like fucked, because her ex boo is with another boo, and her boo and his
Mhm.
boo is, it's like, it's just okay, I get it. It's just like everything's interwoven and just getting fucking convoluted in this fucking mess of Seattle. Right, you get to the end, right? Okay, so Abby gets to the theater, right? So you're still controlling Abby. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh shit, are they going to make me murder Ellie? And I think I was like, oh shit, I'm here for it. This is gonna be fucked up. Okay. So I'm like, are they gonna make me kill characters of
Right,
mine.
yep.
I'm like, okay. So you do it's a boss battle. It's a fucking boss battle against Ellie. Ellie is like badass. Like if you try to attack her from head on, she fucking kicks you in your stomach and puts a machete in your fucking liver, and you're done. That's it. And she pushes you off and shit. You go into this, you start fucking, you beat it, you beat her, and she's just wailing on Ellie. She's just slapping the shit out of her. Dina comes, last ditch effort. She fucks her up, holds a knife to Dina's neck, and then Dina's like, she's fucking unconscious, and Ellie's like, she's pregnant, and then Abby's in all her badassery, she's like, good, and she's about to fucking slit her shit, and and basically the little kid goes, don't do it, and then Abby's like, okay, fuck it, I'm not gonna do it, and then they leave, right? And Abby warns Ellie like, yo, like if I ever see you again, I'm gonna fucking kill you this time for real, like I'm gonna let you pass. I was like, okay, so this is how it ends.
Here we go.
Here we go. This is how it ends. Ellie goes back to a farm with Dina. Dina is already had a kid, so they're having a little, good happy family. Tommy comes back like, look, dude, we got to fucking lead. These fucking bitches in California, like, let's get her, And Ellie's like, no, I can't do it. Revenge is bad. Right, I can't do it. And she goes, I can't do it. And then after all that, she starts having PTSD, right?
Yep.
Then they put you back in the fucking control of Abby in California.
What?
And I'm at that moment, I remember my roommate said, what? And I'm like, I think I'm not finished. I'm not fucking finished with this game yet. And I'm just like, and again, it's a slow crawl with Abby, and she's looking through houses because she's looking for the fireflies, which is like her primary motivation at this point. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. I'm like, okay. So they capture Abby at the end. This fucking weird off group that keeps zombies, because there's always a group, I don't know why, there's always a group that keeps zombies as pets and shit. There's always that group. And they capture Abby and the kid. Then they put me in control of Ellie. I had to travel through Santa Barbara again. Dude, at this point, I'm just like, yo, fuck this. This is just...
You just wanted to YouTube the ending?
I literally wanted to YouTube the ending after Abby fucked up Ellie. When she's at the farm, I thought like, okay, this is over. That's it. There's no kind of like revenge. Like she doesn't get her revenge. There's no closure. And I just think you could have ended the story on that. Nobody wins in revenge. No, they had to make me go to California and do that same. You control Abby and then you control Ellie. I'm just like, I can't, what the fuck? Like what? Like I just did that for fucking 20 hours. 5 hours of this. Yep. I'm just like, oh my God.
And all right, so now you're back in control with Ellie, right? And we just fast forward. Basically, she's just traveling. You're basically looking for Abby once again. You're looking for Ronda Rousey, right? You finally find her. Ladies and gentlemen, please understand that if I played this game all the way and this was the ending I got, I would have burned my shit. But go ahead, go for it.
Okay, so Ellie storms this fucking prison camp. She finally finds Abby. Abby is not brolic anymore. They've been starving her. The little boy / girl Lev is again, they're both hungry. They're all both fucked up, and Ellie cuts her down from they're like crucifying people, some fucking weird shit like that. They walk to the boat together, and literally there's 2 boats, and then Abby and Lev go into one boat, and Ellie goes to the other boat, and then, because Ellie got hurt in the beginning of this whole adventure in California, she puts her hand on her wound, and she sees a flashback of Joel's fucking fucked up face. She turns around and says, bitch, I'm gonna fuck you up. Like everything just reignites,
Yep.
and you start fighting Abby in the water. So basically, this is where it goes, and it's a
Very good looking
mashing.
fight. Very good looking fight.
Very
Though.
good looking fight for the credit. Like Ellie was just laying into her, and there was just a lot of dodging, punching. She finally subdues her, holds her head on the fucking water, and that's it. I'm mashing box because I think they prompt you to mash box at that moment.
Yeah.
And I'm pressing and I'm pressing. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. She gets a she gets
Never
a
mind.
flashback. She gets a flashback of Joel, and then she's like, you know what?
Fuck it.
Fuck it. Just leave. I'm like, are you fucking? I'm like, you made me go. And I think maybe Naughty Dog was trying to deflate me as well. Like, because I'm just like, nobody wins. Not even the player. The player.
Nobody.
No one wins in this story. Ellie doesn't win. Abby doesn't win. I didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, and for what it's worth, the game, I think it's a good game. I just think that what's seriously off with this game, it's its fucking pacing. I've never been a big fan of games that kind of split your view into two different people. I felt like I would have been fine with just following Ellie's story, building that character. I think you had enough. I think Joel's death is enough motivation to just push that game through on its own. You didn't have to add the Abby Owen thing. You didn't have to add, and then like another thing they gave you a flashback of Ellie and Joel at the aquarium during her birthday.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you trying to make me care for this character when The Last of Us
I
1
already
did?
did. Yeah, exactly.
I already care about that relationship. I already knew what Ellie and Joel meant to each other. It wasn't just because that game it's a long game as well, and they did a really good job in establishing that relationship. I don't think you needed to go into 20 flashbacks of just like, oh yeah, Joel, yeah. Oh,
Exactly. And honestly, the very ending, the very, 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 very last clip, I believe it is, or it's like the clip before the last clip. Ellie says, I want to forgive you, and then Joel says, oh, I would like that. But Joel also has a line that pretty much sums up the whole fucking game. He says,
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
even if he had another chance to go into that hospital and not do it, he would still kill me. That line right there closes everything. That shows how much we know he cared. So why are you force feeding me all of this? Let's go to the fucking museum and spend 2 hours walking around and
that shit is long, dude. I was looking at fossils for like literally 7 minutes.
There was literally a story for each and every single, and I don't mind story. I don't mind, interactions. What I do mind is when your interactions are meaningless. You know what I mean? Like we get it. We know that they like each other. We know that they're like a family. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness, there was just so much shit. And then Abby, I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. like, I didn't care. So basically, we pretty much finished the whole story. And I think the biggest way to fix it was saying, here's your game, which is already, you could have already had it at a 15-hour game, and here is some DLC to extend that extra, hours if you really wanted to put time into Abby's story, if you really wanted to know where she's coming from. The first time you played as Abby would have been the sales pitch for that DLC.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't mind playing that. That segment was so dope. I didn't mind that segment at all. I think that segment was genius. But then when they reset it the whole game to make me now play a whole nother story, I wasn't with it. I think all they really needed to do was just put a DLC content, just be like, yo, here, boom, another maybe $8, $9, $10 or some shit, and then you get Abby's full story and you see how they ended up coming together at the theater. And I think for that, the story would have been shorter, on one hand, and also it didn't take you out of the element of Ellie's vengeance.
Right.
And that would have been great. And then you have this other story now as DLC that puts you in Abby's vengeance. You know,
Right.
so I think that's the way they could have solved it. And I believe there's a lot of people out there who's thinking the same thing between user reviews and Metacritic.
Jesus Christ, Joe. What do you do?
So Metacritic on the like critic side, the people who get paid to review games, it's sitting at 95. So out of 100, it's sitting on Metacritic pretty high, 95. But it's getting fucking user bombed.
Yes.
It's sitting right now at a 3.9, and that's out of 49,924 users have bombed this game. Now, granted, we all know that some people are just fucking giving it zeros from, because they heard some shit.
Because
they
they heard
heard
something,
this
yeah,
or they heard
yeah.
that. They didn't play it. They didn't experience it. Which, like I said, that's not fair to Naughty Dog, because if you didn't play the fucking game, don't give it a zero, because
Yeah.
definitely work was and love was put into this.
Mhm.
Now, I saw a lot of other reviews on Metacritic that people actually spoke about these things like pacing and just the whole Abby thing, that whole just story just kind of just plopped. It really just
Yeah.
it plopped out of nowhere, and I'm just like,
Exactly.
why the fuck are you making me? Why are you making me go through this story? Why are you actually making me go through this? Like, I was content to have Ellie as the protagonist, as the main character.
Mhm.
I can definitely play with her and not feel any type of way. I felt the Joel. If you're gonna kill Joel, you gotta let it be that you kill Joel and let that be meaningful within itself and carry that story with Ellie.
Yeah.
But then you take that whole momentum away by putting the whole Abby story, and then you see two perspectives, but it's just like, then I'm waiting just to get back to Ellie to see what happens, and it's just that then they really set up Abby so you don't want to play with her, not because her character is bad. It's just that you kind of left me in a cliffhanger within the game, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
and it's just like, 15 hours. I'm already 15 hours in, and this is what you do to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
nah, we can't have that, Naughty Dog.
Gameplay, right? Gameplay. It's a fun game. It's a fun game. But how much are you playing is the question now.
Right. Yeah, it's just Naughty Dog. Why did you do this to me? I know, it's just one of those people you just don't want to, be like, yo, you fucked up. It's just like with, God, it's just like, I don't know. It's the gameplay, not much. They did not innovate enough for me to be like, I'm really like, oh shit, this is fucking awesome. A lot of the stuff you could do in the first game. And I think a lot of the reviews I'm having an issue with is that they can be like, oh my God, this gameplay is so innovative. This gameplay is so literally the same thing you did in Last of Us 1. You can craft weapons, you can craft materials, you can upgrade your weapons, and you take supplements to enhance your attributes. But it's just, God, this game just makes me like, I feel like it's not like they use what made their game successful from the first one, and they brought it to the second one. There's nothing really innovative about it. There's nothing. It's about the sneaking. It's about stealth and stabbing somebody in the neck, or using a blunt object and murdering them, and then crafting materials that bombs and trap mines. And I just feel like you could have done, and we've seen it in so many games, like you could have maybe, remember Siphon Filter? I don't know if you ever played Siphon Filter. Remember he's in the park and he's fighting that one guy and you don't know how to beat him, and then because you just shoot the fucking lights out and they can't see you. You know what I'm saying? It's just things like that. When I think about just ways of, making that, maybe setting up traps or setting up ropes, setting up something that kind of just changes the gameplay. Instead of you following them and stalking them, maybe you can kind of lead them, kind of like the trap mine they put. Maybe you could put one like a rope, and fucking, I don't know, finagle it or put a box with a stick and like put some
Mhm.
Skittles under it. I don't know, like do something that's going to be a little bit. It's going to be different because
Yeah.
you would take it that Ellie has been under the tutelage of Joel, and I'm pretty sure he taught her mad shit. Like, oh yeah, if you put this together and then this, you can make like a catapult, and yeah,
Launch your
yeah,
enemies.
like anything. I would have anything. I think they
Yeah.
could have done anything, and they really didn't take any chances on that. Like I
Yeah.
think in the multiplayer in the Last of Us One, which there is no multiplayer in Last of Us Two, if you were wondering, in the first one, I think you could set bear traps or you could set
Yeah.
some kind of
Yeah.
trap, and
Yeah.
somebody could walk to it unsuspectingly, and then they fucking. And I just think that I don't know, like they didn't use like the environment, they didn't utilize it. Why can't
Yeah.
I shoot like maybe this old chandelier because I'm in this fucking hotel and it's gonna fall on two people or something like that? I
Yeah.
think they
I think
underutilized
so.
their environment.
The only thing, and again, I'm guessing it's gonna depend on the level that you're playing, but the only thing that I noticed that was really cool, and I don't remember if it was in part one, if you grab an enemy and if there's clickers around, you can actually push them towards the clicker,
Oh,
and the clicker would grab him, and then you can go away. But there's not many uh encounters with both enemy and clickers.
right, right.
I did that shit by accident. You know what I'm saying? Like I always used to hold the enemy just to hear them talk shit. But then when I was with the clickers, the part, I think it's in the hospital. Yeah, in the hospital when you're chasing the
Nora?
chick. Yeah, when you're
Yeah,
chasing
yeah.
Nora and then you fall down and then you have these guys coming in and you have the clickers running around. You
Right,
can
right.
grab them and then you can throw them towards the clickers. But to be honest, you're not really gonna do that because you're just gonna toss something, a Molotov, and get rid of everybody.
Right, right.
Like
There's a good scene. There's a good scene that actually I did utilize that kind of that clicker wolves interaction is in the subway. Now there's a scene in the subway where it's all like they put like flares down. There's clickers
Yeah.
and there's wolves. And I took a brick. I said maybe this will work. I threw the brick just to fucking throw it. And the clickers heard it and they started running
and they
towards
started
the
running.
wolf.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fucking cool. That's amazing. I was like, they didn't tell me to do that. I just thought, hey, maybe sound,
Yeah.
wolves, clickers, it worked. And I just think that there aren't, like you said, those moments are very scarce in the game. There isn't like a lot of that. There isn't, and I don't know why they did that a lot in the game. Like the open world environment, like in the very beginning of the game, you only see that in you only see that in Ellie's part,
Yeah.
and then you see hints of it, but you never see that open world environment, which they kind of lead you to. And it's just like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, why are you flirting with this idea? It's like Last of
Yeah.
Us has been very linear, and now you're kind of open world, and you're going linear, and then you're going Abby and Ellie linear. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you trying to be? And I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to be.
And that's one big thing that I had an issue with. So at that part when you in that open world section, it almost felt like a Final Fantasy game. You have a map and you're going to different sections and stuff. It sucks because if you go the right way, you can't come back. You know what I mean? And it happened to me so much. Like there would be two doors, and I remember this happening a lot. And I was like, damn, if I pick the wrong door, I'm not gonna. Maybe I'll miss a safe. Maybe I'll miss some tools. Maybe I'll miss some supplements. And then I'll pick the door that progresses the story, and it's like, oh well, because something always blocks you from going back.
Right, right.
And it's like, come on, bro. And then, that's not a reason for replayability. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna go back because your game said I couldn't. Like that's
right.
like that's just I'm not gonna play this whole game and spend 15 hours just to see what was behind door number 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna do that.
I ran into that too. There was like two doors. I remember one specifically that she has to jump up, and it progressed the story. I didn't know that, so I was
Yeah.
like, "Damn, do I go this way?" I don't want to, knowing that one of them is going to progress me, and I don't want to keep
Mhm.
going because I went through that fucking little vent or some
Yeah.
shit, and then I was like, "Oh shit, it's progressing, and let me go back."
You
She
couldn't.
can't, and I'm
can't
just
go
like, "What?" I'm like, "Are you fucking?" So you give me open world, you make that available, but then you don't let me go back. I'm just like, what is it that you want me to do? Tell me, Naughty
Yeah.
Dog. Tell me how to play.
So, with all that being said, with everything you guys just heard, um, Rick, what is your final thoughts about The Last of Us Part 2?
Come on. Let's get you cleaned up.
I'm not big on scores.
Hmm.
I like I said, and I spoke to you earlier about it. These arbitrary numbers. What a 6 to me might mean something different to you.
Yeah.
So that being said, uh, The Last of Us, for what it's worth, The Last of Us is a good game. I feel it's a good game. I'm not gonna bomb it because I don't really think it doesn't deserve to get bombed because they had some good ideas. Now, in terms of the execution, I really felt that they missed the mark. I felt like you said, a lot of things could have been trimmed. A lot of things didn't necessarily. I didn't need to play through certain flashback moments. I didn't need to, see, Abby and Owen's relationship because I think they over explained a lot of the things that that had already been said, or they had already communicated with that our little time with them, because Naughty Dog is good at telling a story without using words, and we know that. And through there's many ways to tell a story without actually, here, this is the story, and then putting it and
Yeah.
just like like force feeding us this. And I just feel like it was very, I feel it was very forced. They forced me to be in this thing with Abby. It's pacing. If you are someone that wants closure with one character, you're not gonna get it. You won't get it till hour 25, and I don't even think you get closure there. And I'm just, definitely play it. You should definitely play it. You play like a normal human being and play it throughout your time when you have time, not like a madman like I did. But it's they did so much better in Last of Us One, and I really, if I have to give it a number to help people out in this purchase, it has to be a 6.57. But I don't know where everybody's getting these tens from. And if it's just on graphics, I give it a 10.
Yeah.
I give it a 10 every day. But
Yeah.
when it comes to it as a package, I cannot, and I can't, as a consumer, I can't tell you, hey, this is a 10.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go ahead. I'm definitely gonna agree with you. I think graphics is definitely a 10. Um, gameplay, gameplay, it all depends on you. If you want to go guns blazing, just play on very light mode. If you want to go, stealth mode, start going to normals and hard. You know what I mean? And it all depends on you as a character and how you want to walk around and how you want to do it. Me, in my opinion, I felt like the gameplay was somewhat monotonous. It was just always the same thing over and over and over again. It's, throw a bottle, distract somebody, go ahead, kill them. Throw a bottle, distract somebody, go ahead and kill them. Trail around somebody, kill them. Throw a trap mine. That's all it was for me. Well, in terms of story, I get it. I get it, I get it, I get it, but I did not need all of it. It was just unnecessary dialogue that I was going through, and half the time, like somewhere around hour. And again, I didn't even actually finish the whole game. He finished it, and I just went ahead and took the notes from him. After a while, I just started looking at my phone, like while they were playing this story, because I was like, I just wasn't, I wasn't engaged in Ronda Rousey, like like I
Right,
just
right.
I was just done. But it is an experience worth having. It is, it's. I told I told my partner before, and I'm gonna say it again. It's so weird to say this game has so many faults, but yet I can tell you this is a game that you must play. Like it's so weird to say that. I definitely agree with the 6.5 out of 7. But please do not give reviews if you did not play the game. If you didn't have any experience with it, you really shouldn't, um, you know, direct people to not play the game when it is something that is worth playing. And that's honestly our final thoughts, guys. Really, thanks for watching. We hope to see you again on probably Ghost of Tsushima.
Woo.
Right,
Listen,
right.
if Abby's in that game, I
If
don't want a
that's it,
part
now,
of
if Ronda Rousey, I'm not
it.
playing
I
that
don't
game.
want a part of it.
But guys, this is a G&G production. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you later.
Later.